Good morning, class. Last time we discussed about the geography and its perspective in different elements of geography. Now we will proceed to the most important study in human and physical geography, which is the population and migration. We are studying the geography because we want to know the people who are inside in it and the distribution of the population in different geographic location. And also the pattern of growth, decline, and low growth of the said population. And also, because it is important, the migration is important in the direction of trends of growth for the population. Thus, it is one of the major part of our discussion in this week. Okay, let's proceed. So the outline for today are as follows. First, the introduction. I will show to you the importance of studying the population, the geography, the distribution, and the different theories, no? Theories on population, and last but not the least, the migration, patterns and trends in migration. Okay, so you can see here in the slide the distribution of the population in various continents of the world. So there are places which has few population but has wider land area or land mass. However, there are areas where there are the density of the population is much higher and in comparison to its land mass, it's quite dense, no? So this is the important in studying the geography, no, in our course because we want to know what are the patterns or the trends and what are the reasons behind the distributions of population in various continents, in various areas of the world. Okay, so let's start with the definition, demography. Demography comes from the Greek word demos, meaning people, and graph, meaning to describe. So we can see that demography is the description of the people in a certain uh, part of the world. No? That is the one. So we are describing, no, the population in a certain locality. So we can study population as either quantitative data or using numbers and qualitative data using personal narratives and stories. So these are the different methods in studying the population. Okay, so we are using tools and terms in demography also. No? This is common. First, the total fertility rate. No? It is the estimated average number of children a woman will have in her lifetime. So, okay, so childbearing years are usually considered to be 15 to 49 years. In order for the population to remain stable, each woman will need a total fertility rate of 2.1. One child to replace herself and one child to replace her spouse. So that's it. The ratio is 2 to 1, no? Or 0.1 is the variable. Now, natality, or in other words, the crude birth rate, is an annual statistics. This is to find the crude birth rate. Demographers divide the number of live births in a year, base the country's total population, and multiply the results by 1,000. That is how to compute the natality or the crude birth rate. No? So this is the most important, no, in demography, that we should learn, no, the different tools and terminologies. So in the table, you can see the 10 largest population as of 2022. You can see in terms of rank, number one is China, which has a population of 1.4 billion, no? No, that is billion, no? 1.4 billion population. And then the area is 9.7 million. So there is a 149 square kilometer, no, for each population. So India has 1.4 billion people, and then we have an area of 287,590. Okay, and then density is 427.86. Look at the United States. It has only 334,805 population. However, the area is vast. No, it's 9,372. It's in comparison with China. They have the same land mass, no? Which has this density, which gives us the density of 35.72 per square kilometer. No, you can see the difference. Indonesia, there is a 279,134, no, million, and then area is 1,904,569, or 146 square kilometer. No, and then Pakistan is 229,488. However, the density of the area is 881, 912. So they have the 260 square kilometer density. However, Nigeria, 216,746. The area is 923,768. So the density is 234. The Brazil is 215. And then 8 million is the land mass. No? However, the density is 25 square kilometer. So very, very small the density, no, for square kilometer. Imagine they have only 25 people in per square kilometer, in comparison with this one, 427 people in square kilometer, no. And then Russia, we have one Bangladesh, 167,885, then 147,570. Then the density is 1,137.67. No, you can see the density. They have so many people, no, in every square kilometer. Russia, 145,805.95. However, the area is 17,098,242. Should give us 8.53 square kilometer. No, we have still vast number of areas. No, Mexico, 131,562.77. However, the area is 1,964,375. which has a 66.97 square kilometer density. So the question now, why there are countries which has less population in terms of area or the density, no? In comparison with their territorial area, uh, it's quite small. No? The population is very small compared to the land area of their country. So the density per square kilometer, Russia has 8.53. So imagine, no? In comparison with Bangladesh, which has 1,137 square kilometer, no? There are 1,100 per square kilometer. So many people, the very dense the population. So that is the distribution, quite amazing. No? The distribution of people in the top largest country population as of 2022. So we will study uh, the demographic, no, the growth of the population, and then the distribution. That is the core of this topic this week. So factors that describe patterns of population distribution. There are physical and human factors. Physical factors, for example, these climate, landforms, bodies of water, no, it differs. Example, if there are the climate there is in example in North Atlantic they have ice, no? In comparison to the Philippines, which is tropical, in the area which is prone to typhoon, to hurricane, and whatsoever. And also there are human factors, cultural, economic, historical, political, that influence the distribution of people. Example, if the area or the country is very wealthy, they have full of economic benefits for the people, or they have the same cultural, no? They are attracted to cultural. So there are different factors, no, that describe population distribution. Okay. So population means all the residents of a particular town, area, or a country. The population density is a measurement of population per unit area or unit of land. That is what we have just discussed on the 10 most populous countries in the world. Ecumen is the proportion of Earth's surface occupied by permanent human settlement. Example, this one. No? This is one of the thematic map produced by the Google Map. No, you can see the map in at night, which has more and more lights comparison with other countries. It means that it has a density, no, greater than the other, this one, no? This portion. In comparison with this one, if this is a population, so you can determine or you can compare various area to the settlement, no, human settlement in different parts of the world. So population patterns and density. It is influenced by political, economic, and social processes, no? Like political redistricting and distribution of services such as medical care. No? Example, one of my client is why I asked them why they prefer Australia. No, they prefer to live in Australia rather than in Philippines because there is health benefits. No, if you are a retiree, you have more health medical and health benefits in compare with the what we have in our country. So that is a medical care aspect. But in another economic, there are employment or whatever, and political, if there are peace and order or what political certain in a certain population, it is more advantageous for their growth. Population concentration and density impact the environment and natural resources. No? So because it influences the earth or reduces carrying capacity. Definitely, if you have a caring government, a caring population on the environment, they will respect the carrying capacity of a certain location and to have a sustainable development of the natural resources. Sustainable development, we mean that it is a kind of development that can address not only what we need today, but also of the future generations. That is the sustainable development. So population distribution and density also affect the need for infrastructure. No? So the more the population, the more there is a need. No? The more need for housing, public services, sanitation, facilities, no? And then schools and whatever. So the higher the density, the higher also is the need of the people for those services and those infrastructure. So population distribution is the pattern or extent of people living in a given area across the space. So you can see the main distribution are concentrated in East Asia, South Asia, Europe, and Eastern North America, which constitute two-thirds of the total population. Imagine that. In these areas alone, you can see that it constitutes two-thirds, no? Two-thirds of the total population. At the global scale, most people live in the northern hemisphere. No? The northern hemisphere, then the middle latitudes, no? Lowlands, and along coastal waterways. In our country, historically, more the population is occupying or settled in the riverbanks and in the place where there are waters, no? More in the coastal areas. That is Manila and other areas. No, you can observe that they are settled in various area which has either river or seashore, sea lines. No, there are three methods for determining population density. So when we mean density, it is the frequency. Now, with something occurs in space. Now, density. Arithmetic density takes the total number of people in an area and divides it by the total space. No? So what we did in the 10 most populous countries, no? We divide it in the area, the total number of people, divide by the area. So that is the total space, no? What they have. Psychological density measures the number of people per arable or able to be cultivated area. No? So you can check the arable land, the agricultural land versus the number of population. No? So this is how to get the psychological density. The agricultural density, how many farmers are there per unit of farmland? No? So if there are farmland, how many farmers? That is no? You have to read the textbook, page 48 to 49, the cultural textbook that I referred to. Now let's go to population pyramid. This is a measurement on the growth or the stagnation or the low growth of a population. So you can observe here the different type of population pyramid. So this one, you can see the percent of population. This is female, right is female, or left is male. No? So here, the age from 0 to 4, 5 to 9 until 80 plus, you can see no, uh, the pyramid shape. No? However, here in United States, we have slow growth. There are less youth or younger generation. They have more working population. This one is the working population. And then here are the matured people, no? The elders, no? 45 to 49. This one is the what we call the active, no? The active population. So here we can see that there is a slow growth, no? Slow growth of population because it is more lesser population in 25 to 04 age rather than the the active active population, meaning those who are working already. No? So this type of population pyramid show us a small growth like what we have in United States. In zero growth or decrease is like Italy, no? Italy, you can see it's Aiken, no? There are similarities, but they have uh, low number of younger population. So it's what we call the elder population or the aging population. That's why there is a zero growth or decrease in population because of these types of population pyramid. Okay, this is important in looking at the population of a certain country. We have to look at this different type, no, pyramid, no, the male and female. So you can see almost equal the female and the male. No? So as what we have discussed, the ideal for a family is to have at least two, no, for the replenishment of the father and the mother in the population. No? So then we have a younger population here, more younger population than the older population. Okay. So stages, low growth, high death rate with a high birth rate. No? So this is the low growth. In our example, that is the part of United States. No? If there is a high death rate with high birth rate, no? There is a low growth because more and more people are uh, we have a more number of death rate rather than the birth rate. The high growth, high birth rate with a declining death rate. No? Definitely, this is a growing population because they have a high birth rate rather than the declining death rate. Moderate growth, low death rate with a declining birth rate. That is what we call balance, no? Balance. So that is a moderate growth, like example, Mexico, Brazil, and Eastern Europe. Low growth, low death rate, and low birth rate. So example, United States, Western Europe, and Russia. No? So you can just look at the birth rate and the death rate ratio. So you can see whether it is high growth, it is moderate growth, or low growth. That is the different stages in population. Now, let's go to the different theory uses in the population. Number one is the gravity model, which is patterned or derived from Newton's law of gravity. No? And it is used to predict the degree of interaction between two places. No? Which means the member of a certain population, they are attracted to higher, larger population. That's why there is a gravity, no? Gravity. So gravity model migration is based upon the idea that as the importance of one or both of the location increases, there will also be an increase in movement between them, no? Because the population tend to move, no? So because of the interaction of the people of a certain place, example, the interaction of people in a certain place to another place, no? Definitely this interaction will attract, no, people from one place to another. So the gravity model, no? It will increase the population of other side. So because of the gravity, no, of the increase in the movement, they will be attracted to settle or transfer or move into another place. However, the farther apart the two locations are, the movement with them will be less. No, the accessibility of the location, it will make harder to a member of population to go to such place. No, so this is the gravity model theory. We will further discuss the push and pull in a migration. So countries where migrants came from to the United States to 24. And this is further the gravity model. So you can see from Mexico, there are 134,052 number of migrants in the US. In India, there are 77, China 76,000, and Philippines 49,996, while Cuba is 46,679. No? So this is the different places or the top places where the migrants in the US came from. This is the number one, came from Mexico. You can see that because Mexico and US are nearer to each other, comparison with the other countries, no, you can see that difference. No, this is the interaction, no, interaction between two places. However, the farther apart, so the movement will be less because of the transportation and whatsoever barrier to the movement of the people in a certain place. Next is the G-curve model. This is the population stayed relatively stable since the Neolithic Revolution. Neolithic Revolution is the period of the Stone Age, no? From the Stone Age, then we discovered the use of an iron, no, and other tools for agriculture and growing of foods, no? So approximately 10,000 years ago, this is the Neolithic Revolution that brought humans out of the Stone Age, no? When human discovered fire, discovered the use of the iron, no? So this is the Neolithic Revolution. So women had lots of babies and lots of babies died before they could grow up and have families of their own. No, in this period, women had lot of babies. However, lots of babies died. No? So the death rate and the birth rate is almost equal. No? So that's why there is a long period of low growth. However, 200 years ago, something drastic changed. So there are discovery of better medicine and improved agriculture, no? Because this is important to feed your people. So because of this, there are higher life expectancy for children and more babies grow up and have babies of their own. So that's why there is a J curve, no? The J curve. Because of a long period, epochal period, no? That we are in a Neolithic revolution from the Stone Age, no? Out of the Stone Age. Then we have discovered the medicines, no? And improvement in agriculture because we already use the iron, no? The use of iron, and then the use of technology. Even the technology is in that period is crude, but it is better than the period of Stone Age where we are using stone in cultivating and growing up vegetables. Sometimes in the nomadic period, no, uh, people are not planting trees, planting vegetables. They are reliant on the natural growing up of fruits, no, in if a certain place have so many fruits and wild boar and plant and animals, our ancestor will move to this place. That is the period of nomad, no, nomad. Uh, what we call this period, we are trying to just, no, parang ano siya, parang mangyan na kung saan nasaan yung mga prutas, mga animals, lilipat doon. Then pagkat naubos na rin yung mga prutas and animals doon, lilipat na naman ng isang area. Those were the period, no, the Stone Age. However, when we discover the use, no, of yung mga itak, no, mga bakal, then it liberated man, no, from the humans from the food, no, in cultivating food and growing up their offspring, no. So we have discovered medicines, better medicines, no. So the death rate and then the birth rate now, it becomes the birth rate is growing. However, the death rate is going down. No, that is the period where the G curve. No, so that is what we call the G curve model based on uh, the historical period. The next one is the Malthus theory, which is in the 1800s. No, Malthus is a theorist and scientist, and based on his study, production of food as linear growth, no, there is arithmetic growth and population growth as geometric, no. Pag sinabi mong arithmetic growth, no, ibig sabihin niyan 1, 2, 3, 4, no. However, ang geometric growth 1, 2, 4, tapos 16, no. multiplied tapos 16 times 16 and grow and so on, no? That is the geometric growth. Imagine the population grow geometrically, however, the production of food grow arithmetically, no? So in the end, there is a period, no? As Malthus predict, the people would outpace food production, and there would be a global catastrophe. The global catastrophe that is famine, no? Gutom, no? Gutom. Uh, Yun ang magiging resulta, no? Based on Malthus prediction of the setup. No? There is a arithmetic growth in production of food while the population grow geometrically. No? So Thomas Malthus wrote this in his essay, an essay on the principle of population as it affects the future improvement of society. Ito yung sinasabi niya ang epekto, no, sa food requirement ng population. Mas ang tinitingnan niya yung food requirement, no, ng population. Sa ating panahon ngayon, ito ay natural resources. Nadideplete ang natural resources habang ang ating population is growing. So the natural inequality of the two powers of population and of production in the earth form the great difficulty that to me appears insurmountable. So insurmountable, ibig sabihin hindi kayang magpawan, no? Because of that, may glimmer of gleam ang future. Tinitingnan niya na medyo madilim ang bukas because of this setup. So he proposed different measures, no, on how to achieve low growth of population, no, low growth of population. It's either preventive measure, no, preventive measure on the production of babies, no, yung birth rate, preventive measures, and then there are positive measures on the death rate, no, death rate. Before, ang sources ng nito is hindi lang yung war, no, war, meron pa yung yung pestilence, gaya ng pandemic natin, pestilence, mga peste, no? And then there is also the cause of war, no, cause of war, death, and famine, kagutuman. So these are the different means, no, of lowering population at that time, no. So Thomas Malthus proposed na bakit hindi natin kontrolin ang population through preventive measures na hindi siya lumaki, no, hindi siya lumaki. Kaya doon pumasok yung mga usapin ng mga birth methods, no, and then pa yung mga pamamaraan para maiwasan yung pagdami ng populations, no. So that is what Thomas Malthus has said, no, on his thesis of the population and the food production. Okay, based din kay Thomas Malthus, he said that the doubling time, no, the doubling time, it is the amount of time it takes for a given quantity to double in size or value at a constant growth rate. So we can find the time for population undergoing exponential growth by using the rule of 70. No? Rule of 70. We divide 70 by the growth rate. For example, sa population ng Pilipinas, which has an annual growth rate of 1.3% as 2020 census, there will be a doubling time by 53.8 years, no? So 2022 ngayon, kung meron tayong i-round off na lang natin 54. So by 2076, yung population natin ngayon magdodoble, no? On 2076, no? That is the doubling time, no? The doubling time as what Tomas Malthus said, no? Dodoble. Now, kung dodoble ang population by 2076, kung 109 million tayo ngayon, magiging 218 na by 2076, no? 280 na. Hindi, 218. 218. Wala ito. So 218 na ang population, 218 million by the year 2056. And then yung food production mo ay hindi lumalaki ng kasing laki ng paglaki ng populasyon, magkakaroon ng problema doon sa pagkain, no? Food supplies natin. So that would be a great problem for us, no? How to cope up with the growing population and then ang ating food production, ang pag-usad ay hindi ganon kabilis. Okay? Next, to see the population pyramids in the Philippines, you can see here, no? As what we have discussed, used to make population projection and growth and decline into markets for goods and services. So pag ganito, nakikita natin ang production, no? Male and female, we can see kung ano ang kailangan natin, no? Para sa hinaharap. Sabi nga, nandun tayo sa demographic transition. Ito yung period na marami tayong mga bagong tubo, no? Mga sa populasyon, and then papasok na ito sa ano ito, yugto ng productive period. So yung sweet spots na yon, yung pagdami natin ng populasyon na may kakayanan na magtrabaho, no, magiging productive. Maganda yon, no? Maganda yon kasi nagiging productive na yung populasyon natin. However, there should be this one, no? Maganda ito na kung 4.5%, then mas maganda kung lumiit pa ito, no? Dito ang susunod, no? That's how we should envision, no, the growth of population. Kasi kung pagbabasehan mo ang doubling time by 2076, no? Madodoble ang ating population. So paano yung food production natin? Ang natural resources natin, no? Ang density, we only have 300,000 square kilometer ang Pilipinas, no? Ang Pilipinas. Imagine mo na lang, no, madoble ang population. So ang density natin ngayon ikumpara mo sa 2076, mas lalong sisikip ang bansa natin, no? However, the food production, the natural resources will be affected by this. Okay. So let's proceed to the other aspect, no, movement, no, ng population, which is the migration. So when we talk about migration, it is the permanent relocation of people and their activity space. No? Mayroong net migration kasi ang migration or may immigrant, may immigration, may tapos mayroong immigrant, no? Immigration. Pasensya sa ano. So itong dalawa nag-iiba ito mula sa isang bansa patungo sa isang bansa, no? Immigrant. However, itong mula sa isang bansa papunta sa isang bansa, no? Sa immigrant. Kung ito ang Pilipinas, ang mga Pilipino papunta sa ibang, that is immigrant. Ang naman sa kabilang banda, ang immigrant mula sa isang bansa papunta sa isang bansa, example sa atin, that is immigrant. So kung mayroon itong example 100 dito, no? 100 dito ang immigrant, then dito is 98. So mayroong 2, no? That is the net migration, the difference between migration and out migration. So to calculate demographic equation with the decrease the population, ito, birth minus death plus or minus the out of net migration. So yun ang anuhin mo para makita mo yung increase or decrease ng population, titingnan mo rin yung migration, no? Pagpasok o palabas ng migration. Para sa isang lugar, isang bayan, halimbawa, hindi mo lang titingnan yung birth rate tsaka death rate, no? Death rate. Titingnan mo rin dapat yung migration, no? Kasi isang factor ito sa number of population sa locality. So spatial interaction, also known as movement, no? Yung movement is the study of how people, goods, and ideas move between places. No, this is the movement. Kahit sa ating ASEAN, mayroon ng provision, no? Movement of people within or among ASEAN countries. That is part, no, of migration to attract technical know-how in a certain place. So definition, there are voluntary where a decision is made to move for some reason. That is considered push and pull factors. We will further discuss this in the next slides. So there are internal migration, moving within a state, no, country or continent, external. There is also migration, moving to a different state, country or continent. Then immigration, leaving one country to move from, no, to another. So galing sa Pilipinas papunta sa iba. Now, moving to a new country is a person who is entering a country from another to make a new home, no? So as what we said, immigration is a permanent. No? There are also return migration, moving to where you came from. Seasonal migration, moving with season or in response to labor or climate conditions, no? Balikbayan and seasonal migration. So here you can see in the graph the immigrants and immigrants, no? Immigrants from the Philippines. Okay, in 2013, so sa US,